Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Edwin Lyngar is here. He's a Democratic candidate for Washoe County Commission, District 5. It's going to be a hot race. He's here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Wasteful Washington spending is killing us with inflation and sky-high prices on groceries and gas. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto voted to allow hundreds of millions of dollars of COVID relief funds to be squandered on a luxury resort in Florida, a New Jersey soccer stadium, a ski area in Iowa. Tell Senator Cortez Masto to start voting against reckless spending to stop inflation. Nevada families need cheaper gas and food, not frivolous luxuries in other states.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Edwin Lyngar. He is the candidate for Washoe County Commission District 5. People may know you from your columns that you wrote for a long time for the Reno Gazette-Journal on the op-ed page, but give us a little bit of background on you.
Well, I was raised in Battle Mountain, and I started to go to UNLV, but being from Battle Mountain and trying to go right to Las Vegas was a bit much for me, so I left there and I joined the Coast Guard, where I spent 7 years on active duty. I came back to Reno to work for the Department of Wildlife, where I worked for 15 years in law enforcement public information. And about 5 years ago, I left that job to teach English at Truckee Meadows Community College, following a lifelong dream to be in higher education. I taught full-time for the first time last year, and I just decided that I couldn't sit by in this race and watch what's going on, and I was moved to jump into it, so now this is what I'm doing. And I'm taking a break from teaching, and I'm focusing on campaigning full-time, and when I win, I'm going to be a commissioner full-time. I'm not going to have other employment other than a small business that I own that just keeps me a little bit busy, but not too much.
Okay, so looking at your website and hearing your background, it would seem to me that you would be more conservative, and yet you are running as a Democrat in a very conservative district. Give us the background on that.
Well, I was a Republican into my 30s, and the Republican Party left me. And we see the results of this. I remember the Sharon Angle race here in Nevada, and that was the last time I ever considered voting Republican. We need to eliminate, first of all, partisanship at the local level. Partisanship in the county commission is poisoning us. I agree in great detail with many Republicans on a host of issues. We don't have these neat partisan lines between Democrat and Republican at the county commission. I believe in smart development. I worked for wildlife, so I believe wildlife issues are very important. Many times we agree the partisanship at the local level is artificial, and it's really ugly, and it's getting uglier.
Why do you say it's artificial? Because it seems to me to be very real.
Well, the partisanship is real, but are the issues real, Sam? I would put that question back to you. I mean, where do we disagree?
You know what's fun about this? I get to ask the questions.
Well, that's fair, Sam. I do believe it's artificial because you have someone like my opponent in the county commission who votes routinely against.
Okay, and we should point out, she was on the program just a few weeks ago. Jean Herman is your opponent. She's the incumbent, two-term incumbent, running for a third term.
That's it. And, and I've been talking with everyone around town. Business people, I've been meeting with developers. Some people who are Democrats don't like that I meet with developers. They're voters, they live in the community. I want to sit with every single person and hear their concerns. We need to find common ground at the local level. We don't need Washington-style dysfunction here. I would argue that the rage that you see on the county commission, when you see these voting bills come up, Jean Herman proposed a 20-point raft of bills, paper ballots only, 1 day of voting, no, all of these things, National Guard troops.
And it was voted down 4-1.
It was voted down 4-1, but this is one vote, and if someone else gets elected to the commission, for instance, who might be sympathetic to that, there might be more movement towards it. We need to stop it now. And we can't pretend it's an outlier. We have to take these things at face value. And I think these things are creating hate and discontent in the community. I really firmly believe that. We look at the recount right now going on with Joey Gilbert. I mean, he lost that race by 20-some thousand votes. There is no world in which this is a mathematical error, Sam. And these things, I really firmly believe, are starting to tear at the fabric of democracy. That's my view.
You know, I don't disagree with you because I think in any conversation you have, you are going to hear two sides of the story, and you're going to hear confusion from a lot of moderate people who are Republicans and moderate people who are Democrats who are trying to figure all this out and why what used to be an argument at Thanksgiving when Uncle Fred got drunk are suddenly now an everyday occurrence. But, I think that, at this point, our system is going to rely on the courts and law enforcement to figure out where we need to be in the end. So I think somebody has a right to bring a lawsuit if they believe that something has been done in an unfair manner that is illegal. And it's up to the court system to work it out and figure out whether that's an accurate position or not. And as we have seen across the country, so many of these, voting issues have been cut back because there was just no evidence. I mean, that's where I sit is, if there's been a crime committed, bring me evidence. If somebody's been murdered, bring me a body. You can't prosecute unless, you actually have some evidence. And so, everybody has the right to go to court, and we'll see what the judicial. I have to say I believe in the judicial system. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're not going to believe in the judicial system, then I think that we have an even bigger problem that we're facing now, in terms of the political world.
I agree with you, and my argument would be, do people believe in the judicial system? Somewhere north of 60% of Republicans still say the 2020 election was stolen. This has been adjudicated, yet the messaging is still out there. Yet it is still doing damage.
But that's a question of marketing. That's I mean, we can get into all kinds of interesting discussions here, but between social media and messages put out by Republicans and Democrats, it is all a form of marketing. There is more money being poured into the state of Nevada in politics than I have seen in 40 years of covering the election system. And of course, as the owner of this program, we do take political money, and we are not red or blue, we are green. If you have the money and it's a legitimate advertisement, we will put it on the air. But I have never seen this much money flowing, and I think that what was heading to be a huge Republican sweep has been blown up to an extent by what happened to the Supreme Court with overturning Roe. And this has inspired Democrats to put up even more funding, and you're seeing the advertisements already rolling out. And this is, we're recording this in July. The election is in November. Normally, we would expect to see this starting in September. And it actually started in June. Didn't even wait for July. I want to take a break, and I want to come back and get into some other issues with you that concern your district and your disagreements and agreements with the current county commission, okay?
Sounds fair.
All right, we'll be right back.
Wasteful Washington spending is killing us with inflation and sky-high prices on groceries and gas. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto voted to allow hundreds of millions of dollars of COVID relief funds to be squandered on a luxury resort in Florida, a New Jersey soccer stadium, a ski area in Iowa. Tell Senator Cortez Masto to start voting against reckless spending to stop inflation. Nevada families need cheaper gas and food, not frivolous luxuries in other states.
Education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. One of the things I love about the Carson Valley Inn here in beautiful downtown Minden is CV steak. I have eaten here so many times. Tell folks what they can expect when they come here to eat.
It's a beautiful room, great service. We have certified Angus beef, seafood, lamb, a great range of appetizers, and wonderful desserts. Jean-Michel's done a great job of selecting some beautiful wines for us. The customers love it, and we've got a great selection of cocktails as well. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Edwin Lyngar. He is a Democrat and a candidate for Washoe County Commission District 5, running against Jean Herman, who is the 2-term incumbent, running for her 3rd term. Let's talk about growth, because that has been a huge issue in the North Valleys. And even though this district is vast, it goes all the way up through northern Washoe County.
All the way to the border.
It's amazing how big this district is, but that's not untypical of Nevada. Where do you stand on growth?
I think we need smart growth, Sam.
What does that mean?
I think that there are people on both sides of the aisle. Let's go back to your framing a little bit. There are people on both sides of the aisle who are zero growth people. I don't feel like this is realistic. I have 5 children. I want them to live in the city where I live. My house has tripled in value since I bought it 10, 12 years ago. We have to have building, but we have to have building that meets the needs of the community. There are very good builders here, and then there are people who come in from out of town. We have to look at each and every one of these at face value, and we do need things like parks and open space, and a lot of developers are really offering this. So we have to examine each of these. We can't just say no. We can't reflexively slam the doors shut. I believe in freedom. This is America. People are going to want to move here. We can't overwhelm the place with growth. We need roads to keep up. We've done a bad job. And I know in talking to people who are in this industry and people who work in transportation, which comes first, the growth or the roads? And it is a huge challenge. But we need sensible people in the center who are looking at these things and bringing people together. Right now, my argument is that to reflexively say no to every single thing takes you out of the conversation. Who is going to talk to you? What are you going to propose? How are you going to change these things to make them better? one of my big arguments is with growth, one of the problems when we see the North Valley's treated as second-class citizens. I believe this is happening. You look at what's happened in Spanish Springs. It's beautiful. It's had, someone looking out for it. I think in the North Valley, it's just saying no, we're pushing things off, or saying we don't want business is a huge mistake. And lastly, if you let me say, and I don't know the feasibility of this. I'm not on the council yet, but why can't we have redevelopment in the North Valleys like we've had in Midtown? We need businesses. People want restaurants. They want a dentist to go to. They shouldn't all have to drive to Reno to get these things. And we have treated it in a classist way.
Okay, but I mean, are you suggesting you offer incentives to get these kind of businesses? Because as you increase the population base, aren't naturally other businesses going to follow?
This is a great question. This is just like the roads question.
This is
which
why I'm
comes
here.
first? The chicken or the egg, right? And no, I do think that, and I'm not for big business handouts. I want to make that very clear. I think it's a mistake to give big corporations lots of money so they can come here and clog the roads and not offer any money for services. I'm a small business owner. Nobody gave me a bunch of money. Nobody incentivized me to open my yoga studio on McCarran. But at the same token, we can incentivize small businesses locally. You see this with what the city did with this redevelopment in Midtown. I would argue that was a smashing success. Somebody with vision to look at it, to entice people, to put together an idea of how we can make streets walkable, how we can invest in things that want to bring businesses in. Now, it's not completely, totally fleshed out yet, and it can't be, but this is the kind of leadership that I want to bring. I think it can be done.
But that came from private enterprise. I mean, the beginnings of the Midtown growth were people that invested into businesses there, from the hardware store, into property development. I mean, that was private enterprise. I think it's a very hard sell, if not an impossible sell, to say to somebody who lives in a place, we want to see growth, so therefore we expect you to pay for roads and water and sewer to manage that growth before the people come in who are going to be the recipients of that growth. I don't see how that ever works, because nobody's going to want to see their tax bill go up to pay for that. On the other hand, once you have the growth where the roads are being clogged, it's a much easier sell to be able to say, hey, let's invest in this infrastructure. I don't see how it goes the other way around, unless you have a private developer like my good friend Roger Norman, who puts in $100 million worth of infrastructure before a project gets started.
I don't think he's the only one either.
No. Perry DiLoretto was just on the show the other
wonderful.
day. Downtown DeMonte. He's going to put in, probably $750 million plus into that project.
So my argument remains that leadership makes a difference and vision makes a difference.
Right, but those are
either. Yeah, and so you have developers who can come in, and yes, they should be, and many of them are very good, some are not. And I'm not going to name names, and I'm not going to get into that. But some people want to invest in community, and that's what we want, and some don't. And yes, political leadership can make a difference in business development. It's a positive business climate. I want to again stress that I am a pro-business Democrat, and Democrats get, especially here, and especially lately with the nonstop partisanship, this unfair tagging that we're not for business or we're not for capitalists. I own a business. I am a capitalist. And I want to see business come in. I want to see them be successful. And I believe that government can make a difference in putting up roadblocks and making it difficult, or paving and easing the way and meeting with people who want to open businesses and making this an open environment to really spur growth. I don't think we've had that. Would
you like to see Washoe County be more like Story County in the way that it welcomes businesses?
I would like Washoe County to be business friendly. I don't want to examine everything about Story County. I think they've done a good job. My one argument against some of the growth that we've had in the industrial park is, again, this is a personal thing, and I think Republicans and Democrats agree with me that we shouldn't be, when we gave Tesla that $1 billion in, various tax abatements and this really enraged me, and I am a Democrat, and I wasn't for the Raider Stadium. I'm going to say it publicly. I don't believe we should be giving rich people lots of more money to move here. Nobody gave me lots of money to open my small business. And I don't want to turn this question around because you don't like that, Sam. Does the government give you business to open your business and run your show? No. Why is that? We don't have the lobbyists. This has been a big problem. I think small business growth should be the engine of growth and change in this community. And I do think that with smart development policies, we can have a much better, particularly in the North Valleys, which I believe has been underinvested. I fundamentally believe that. I grew up at Hilltop in Battle Mountain, 5 miles out of town, on 40 acres of sagebrush in a mobile home. I'll bring you a picture someday. It's kind of fun.
Okay,
but,
so
we need development. We need people to invest so we can have nice places to live and to eat and to do things.
I will say 2 things here. One, Tesla spurred the most unbelievable positive growth for Northern Nevada, that coming out of COVID, coming out of the Great Recession, we have currently under 3% unemployment in Northern Nevada. It has been phenomenal. The businesses that have been attracted, it's just been an incredible thing. I think Allegiant Stadium has been an incredible thing for Southern Nevada. Southern Nevada has now turned into the world's sports capital. More sports companies are moving there. And this, yes, it was public money, but basically it was literally a couple of bucks on a room night in Las Vegas that is funding $750 million worth of that $2 billion project. And I don't see how anybody can look at that when you just had the NFL draft, you've got the Super Bowl coming, and concerts, so many other things going on that are based off of Allegiant Stadium. I think that was a very smart investment of public money to get those projects off the ground. We can certainly agree to disagree on that, but that's my point.
I'd like to respond to that.
Okay, just take a quick minute.
Okay, I will come back with that. Okay.
No, take the minute.
So yes, and the Las Vegas example, let's set that aside, because I think that the results and what it costs, that's one thing, and Las Vegas is an entertainment mecca. Yet with Tesla, and I agree that it's spurred this great growth here, and I love that we have diversified
generational growth.
Yet an apartment here is $2,000 a month. We brought in the growth. We didn't bring in right? It comes later. My daughter got her first apartment. It cost $500 more than my mortgage.
Okay, this happened when MGM built in Reno in 1978. Construction workers were sleeping in tents on the river. There were no apartments. You had party line phones. This is part of the growth cycle, is that you're going to have shortages and then you're going to have overages. We've overbuilt and underbuilt as far as housing goes. It all works out, hopefully, in the end. Let's take a break and we'll come right back.
For Nevada women and families, it's no joke. The Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade, taking away a woman's right to an abortion. But Adam Laxalt calls that right a joke. Listen.
Roe v. Wade was always a joke.
Roe v. Wade was always a joke. No wonder, as Attorney General, Laxalt made it a priority to push abortion bans that let the politicians overrule women and their doctors. It's not a joke. It's our right. Women Vote is responsible for the content of this ad.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down, when Nevada Heating can get the job done today, and you can get cool again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Ed Lyngar. He is the Democratic candidate for Washoe County Commission, District 5, which is a very Republican district. But you are coming out with a lot of things that I think a certain portion of Republicans are going to be happy with the way you're discussing things. Probably the biggest issue that really nobody likes to talk about, either with the cities or the county, is sewer capacity. Now, we've gotten some relief because of this pipeline that is taking the gray water from the Truckee River up to TRI, and that's bought us some time. But the reality is that the expansion of the Reno-Sparks area is going to, slow down to zero without a massive expansion of that sewer treatment plan. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, good, and I'm glad you asked that, because water politics in the West includes wastewater and how we deal with it. And it is one of the biggest issues that we have. This, again, goes back to an underinvestment in infrastructure, in my view. I want to step back a moment and say that I don't have all the answers, Sam. And I think it's really important as a commissioner to be humble and to say that we need to bring people together. And I want to hear more of what the solutions are. I know that the city of Reno just passed the new treatment plan instead, and that's a great step, and that the commission can take positive action in this area. Nobody wants to talk about how it's funded, but there should be and can be mechanisms in place. The number one thing is I want to hear from people. I want to hear what their concerns are. I want to hear how we can do this in a way that doesn't put the onus just on business, that we can bring people together to make sure that we have what we need to really build that community that I think we can have here. I think this is a miraculous, wonderful place. Like I said, I'm from Nevada. From the rurals, but I settled in Reno because of what it offers. And if we want to keep that up, we have to be unafraid to put in the infrastructure that is needed. And I want to learn about it, so I want to hear what people have to say.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you, sir, for being here. I appreciate that. I would love to do a debate with you and Gene Herman. So if you're up for it, I will put out I will put out the invitation to her as well. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Sam.
And we'll be right back.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue. Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website. Again, nevadanewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.